Hello everyone, welcome back to My Hero Academia Podfic. Today I'm continuing with the Deku Do series. This will be part 10, chapter 11, entitled The Rescuers. The only word to describe the first exam was chaos, as Izuku suspected the other schools ganged up to attempt to crush UA. Class 1A, however, had managed to somehow survive by the skin of their teeth, even though those who had recklessly split from the rest of the group had managed to squeeze past the finish line. Now the 100 examinees who passed were corralled together in a waiting room. "You okay, Deku-kun?" Izuku was asked worriedly by Uraraka. She noticed that he was staring out into space. "Yeah, I'm fine," Izuku sighed. "There's just something about that Kami girl that bothers me." "You mean how she went full-on psychotic and scratched you?" "I mean, yes, but it's more than that. She just felt wrong." "Did we ever figure out how her transformation quirk worked?" "No idea," Uraraka shrugged. "I'm starting to wonder if it may have been blood-based, hence why she scratched me, and that worries me." "What do you mean?" "She retreated immediately after drawing blood." "It doesn't make sense. If she was using some kind of blood-based quirk in the exam, then that should have given her the advantage, but she didn't attack. It worries me that she may want and have my blood for some other purposes." "She's a hero student. I doubt she's up to anything nefarious." Uraraka laughed. "Maybe you're right," Izuku smiled sheepishly, but he couldn't shake the heavy pit in his stomach. "That marks the end of the first exam." Mara's voice boomed from an overhead loudspeaker. "For those of you who passed the test, please turn your attention to the screen." Izuku swiveled around and noticed a large projector screen descending from the ceiling. "Huh, it's a test arena," mocked Mara dryly. "What's going to happen next?" "Why?" Sero pondered. "What does that mean?" Tenny added. "There's only one more round of the exam," Mara revealed. "Your goal is simple. Undertake rescue exercises and save the bystanders who are trapped in these disaster sites. A rescue mission." Izuku let a large grin spread over his face. Now this was his wheelhouse. "Save the what now?" Ashido questioned. "Bystanders," Hagakure replied. "We learn about them in class, remember? They're people at a disaster scene or innocent civilians on a street." "Use this time to show us how you will carry out successful rescue procedures once you receive your provisional licenses. Treat this as if this were the real thing, rescuing." A series of images depicting civilians appeared on the screen. Mara let out a sarcastic gasp. "Little kids and old people." Izuku immediately recognized the figures. These were actors for the Help Us Co. In addition to serving as fake bystanders for hero rescue scenarios, they helped train medical professionals in simulations. The clinic had never hired them, given their dubious legal status, but Natsuo had worked with them at medical school and had plenty of stories to share. Apparently the actors had a wicked sense of humor and liked to prank trainees. "That's so dangerous," Mineta protested. "Why are they here?" "These specialists are trained professionals. Let me introduce you to the Help Us Company," Mara drawled. "The HUC bystanders have dressed up like injured victims and will be located throughout the disaster site. We'll be judging you on how you keep them safe. Oh, by the way, we'll be scoring you on a point-based system. If you have more points than the benchmark at the time the exam ends, then you pass. We'll start in 10 minutes. Take care of any necessary preparations now." Like before, the walls suddenly collapsed, revealing a cityscape disaster site not unlike that of Kamino Ward. "All right," Izuku shouted. "We should use this time to plan ahead." Unfortunately for Izuku, none of his classmates seemed to be listening. Mineta, Sero, and Kaminari were giggling perversely in a corner and sending weird looks Izuku's way. Bakugo, Kirishima, and weirdly Todoroki seemed to be arguing with a kid from Shiketsu. Uraraka was trembling nervously, while Ashido and Hagakure tried to console her. "I don't think anyone heard you, Kero," Sue mused. Izuku sighed heavily and gave a sharp whistle. The entire test arena quieted. "Oi!" he shouted, after getting everyone's attention. "We need to use this time to prepare wisely. This isn't like the last test. We aren't competing against each other anymore. We need to work together to launch an effective rescue of this scale." "Who made you boss?" The kid from Shiketsu, Izuku thought was named Mora, sneered. "Yeah, you UA kids think you're so tough," someone in the crowd shouted. "I can't force you all to cooperate," he agreed easily, "but we shouldn't be thinking of this as a simulation, right? The most important element of being a hero is saving people. If this was a real natural disaster, would you still refuse to work together to rescue the bystanders?" The crowd broke out into murmurs. "He's right," Ida piped in. "It's disgraceful for us to act this way as future heroes." "I agree," Yaorashi boomed. "The advice is passionate to the extreme." Right," Izuku scratched the side of his face. "Anyways, who's with me here?" The crowd broke out into grumbling again, but everyone stayed put. "All right, we don't have the exact situation yet, but regardless..." As to what it is, we should break down the test site into quadrant systems and search the designated areas in small teams. Grady, could you make a communicator for each team? Sure, no problem, she agreed. All right, then. Izuku smiled. You're on mission control. Please try to work and direct and coordinate all of the teams. Roger that. Before Izuku could continue any further, he was interrupted by Mera's voice over the loudspeaker. Villains have performed a large-scale terror attack, spanning all of insert city name here. Izuku facepalmed. Could Mera be any lazier? Since most of the buildings collapsed, there are many injured. Due to heavily damaged roads, the first responders have unfortunately been delayed for the time being. Shit, Izuku cursed. He need to give a quick crash course in field medicine and triage to his classmates. Until emergency services arrive, the heroes in the area will lead rescue efforts. Your task is to save as many people as you can and help the injured. And with that, begin. All right, everyone, Izuku shouted again before anyone could start talking. Who here is trained in field medicine? About 12 second and third years from various schools raised their hands. Okay, 2 of you need to come with me and Creati to set up a designated medical treatment and mission control area. Everyone else form 10 teams. Make sure each team has 1 medic. Creati, could you hand out the communicators? I'd also appreciate it if you could give each team a set of triage tags. Right, Momo agreed. I'll also make a drone so that we can get an aerial view of the disaster site as well. Nice thinking, he gave her a short smile. All right, everyone, this is a mass casualty event, so we'll be using basic triage system. If someone is able to walk on their own, please give them a green tag and direct them to the medical treatment area. If they're too injured to walk, but not so injured that they are likely to die, please give them a yellow tag and bring them to the treatment area yourselves. If they are severely injured, that they are untreatable or unmovable, give them a red tag and leave them where they are. Dead bodies should receive a black tag. What? Several people cried out in outrage. We can't leave someone seriously injured to die, Mina shouted. I can't believe you'd say something like that. Yeah, what she said. How can we call ourselves heroes if we don't save them? Izuku leveled the crowd with a stony glare which caused them to quiet. It sucks, but the reality is we can't save everyone. Our time and resources in this situation are severely limited. By wasting them on lost causes, we're condemning people who actually have had the ability to live, to be able to be saved. This is the professional standard that's used by first responders and emergency room doctors everywhere. We don't have time to quibble over ethics right now. Everyone on a team spread out and start searching. This will be mission command and the medical treatment area. With a few last grumbles, the crowd dispersed. Here, Momo handed a communicator to Izuku. You should have one of these too. Thanks, I just hope they listen to my warning, he sighed, fixing the device to his ear. Now we need to set up. How are you on your fat scores, Yaoyorozu-san? I have a protein bar, which I can use to replenish if I need to. What do you need? We need to set up a sterile treatment area. A tent and a couple of stretchers would be great if you could manage it. Maybe a spinal board or 2. Given the number of collapsed buildings, I suspect we may see some severe crash injuries. No problem, but I'm probably done for a while after that. I understand. Izuku spun around to face the 2 third-years who stayed behind with him. It's nice to meet you. I'm Midori Izuku from UA, hero named Deku. My quirk is super strength. I don't look it, but I'm actually apprenticed to Recovery Girl and have several years of advanced medical training. I'm Iwata Emi, the first, a young woman with pale blue skin and fins for ears, answered. Hero name Hydros. I'm a 3rd year at Isamu Academy High School. My quirk is Scald, which basically allows me to produce hot water. I took an emergency first aid course over the summer. Wow, your quirk would be great for first aid treatment. Can you control how hot the water is? Is it hot enough to sterilize our tools? Have you practiced using it to wash out wounds? Izuku started rambling, and she just chuckled. I can make the water temperature anywhere between hot bath and boiling, so yes, I'm happy to help sterilize things and wash out wounds as well. I'm Yagihashi Ryota, hero named Scimitar, a boy with dark skin, white hair, and obvious goat mutation added. I'm a 3rd year at Seijin High School. My quirk is goat, pretty self-explanatory, and I'm a certified EMT. Izuku had tons of questions about his quirk, but clamped down on them. Now was not the time. Nice to meet you. What do you guys have in terms of medical supplies? Well stocked with basic first responders kit, Yagahashi replied. I only have some bandages. All right, in that case, Hydros, you can handle our intake and green tag patients. Scimitar and I will take care of our yellow tag patients and green tags as well as if we have any time. Sounds good to me. Righto. Hey, Deku, the tent and stretchers are all set up. Great, thanks, Creati. Izuku paused as voices came over his comms device. We're about to have 2 patients incoming. Everybody to your stations. Izuku spun around and headed to the newly erected medical tent. Not a minute later, and the 2 first patients had arrived, brought in by Uraraka. Another 5 minutes in, and they almost had more patients than they could handle. We have a yellow tag here, an older gentleman who was crushed under a building, Iwata announced. The second patient is his grandson and a green tag, suspected minor head injury. Thanks, Izuku shouted, rushing over to the grandfather. Sir, I'm the hero Deku, and I'll be taking care of you today. Can you tell me your name? The man groaned before rasping out. Todashi. Very good, Tadashi-san. Can you tell me where you are? Before he could answer, Uraraka interrupted. Deku-kun, I'm heading back out. Thanks, Uravati. If you find anyone else with a suspected spinal injury, please don't move them. We'll send someone to you with the proper materials. All right. Uraraka made an okay sign with her hand before running off. Mister, is my grandpa okay? The actor playing the green tag patient tugged on Izuku's pants. Izuku bent down and ruffled the boy's hair. Don't worry, I promise I'm going to do my very best to take good care of him. The actor's eyes sharpened as he broke character. Not bad. You didn't make any promises you couldn't keep. Of course not. All that making empty promises will do is open me up for a medical malpractice suit. The actor barked out a short laugh. You're not wrong. Anyways, I need to focus on treating your grandfather right now. Sir, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is your pain? An 8? And where does it hurt? My back, you idiot. Okay, I'm going to touch you now. Can you feel when I press here? Izuku prodded first his left and his right hand. Yes, and here? Izuku moved to the feet. Yes. Excellent. Can you wiggle your fingers and toes for me? Wonderful. Luckily, it doesn't look like you have any serious neurological damage. However, your spinal pain does worry me. We won't be able to know for sure the extent of your injuries until we can get you to a hospital for x-rays. I'm going to secure you so that you can't move and risk injuring your back any further. If you would like, I can also give you some medication for the pain. Is that okay? Just do what you need. I don't need the pills. I'm just acting, after all. You know your stuff, kid. I would have docked points if you hadn't gotten my consent for treatment. Izuku nodded and began to secure the man to the spinal board. All right, that should do it. Looks like I have several other patients I need to attend to now. The emergency responder should be here soon to take you to the hospital. What about me, mister? I have an ouchie, too. The actor playing the grandson pointed to his forehead. I see. You were very brave to wait for so long. Could you continue being brave for me and just wait a little bit longer? There are some very hurt people that need my help even more than you do. Okay, mister, the actor agreed, smirking. Nice deflection. Izuku merely laughed and moved on to his next patient. Deku, Awada-san shouted. Over here. Woman, mid-30s, with a compound humerus fracture. She's losing blood quickly. Izuku rushed over. Obviously, the actor didn't actually have a compound fracture, but the prosthetic she was wearing was mimicking it, and it was surprisingly realistic. Fake blood, Izuku mused. Wonder where it's coming from. Ma'am, my name is Deku, and I'll be taking care of you today, Izuku introduced as he pulled a pulse oximeter from his pocket and attached it to his patient's finger. The readings were, of course, normal. Can you tell me your name? The woman just stared blankly, breathing rapidly. Shit, she's in shock. Help me lay her down and elevate her feet. Sure thing, Iwata agreed, helping Izuku to move the woman and stuffing some towels under her feet. Okay, the first thing we need to do is stem the bleeding, he ordered as he pulled out a couple of sterile bandaging pads from his first aid kit. Please use these to apply pressure to the wound. Be careful not to touch or jostle the exposed bone. While you do that, I'm going to tourniquet the arm. Right. Iwata grabbed the bandages from Izuku. Izuku pulled off his belt and wrapped it around the patient's upper arm, using 1% of One For All to pull it as tight as possible. Ow! The actor winced. Watch it. I'm not actually bleeding here, you know. I'm aware, Izuku answered calmly, but nonetheless I will treat you exactly as I would an actual injured patient. Nothing I will do will actually cause you any harm. You have my assurance. Yeah, whatever. They rolled their eyes. I guess I can't argue with that. We are grading you after all. Still, could you loosen this thing? I promise not to dock you for it. All right, Izuku agreed, loosening the tourniquet. The actor breathed a sigh of release. I need to ask, should I assume you're still in shock? It's fine. You clearly know what you're doing, the actor waved off. Go help someone else. You pass in my book. Are you sure I haven't splintered your arm yet? It's fine. Go on. Thank you, then. He bowed his head. An ambulance will transport you to the emergency room for further treatment once the first responders arrive. If your condition starts to worsen, please be sure to let one of us know. At this point, the tent was practically overflowing with patients. Hey, Scimitar, how many yellow tags do we have? About 10. Some idiot also brought in a couple of red tags. Of course they did. Go give them pain medication. I mean, not actually, since they're not really injured, but mime it anyway. Otherwise, for now, we need to leave them. If they're still alive after we handle the yellow tags, then I'll see what I can do. Let's each take 5. When you see her, please ask Hydros to, start treating the green tags. We need to clear up some space in here. Roger that, Yakahashi offered a lazy salute. Right. Izuku turned to his next patient who had some kind of major head trauma. Here we go again. That green-haired kid of yours isn't half bad, Miss Joke chuckled from the observation bleachers. He just took charge immediately and got everyone to work together. Aizawa narrowed his eyes as he peered down on his most troublesome student. He's got charisma, though he doesn't know it. I'm not surprised he convinced everyone to work together as a team, but taking charge like this is highly unusual behavior for him. He usually strikes me as more of a follower, and our class has yet to do any real rescue-focused coursework, so I'm unsure where the problem child is getting his confidence from. Problem child, eh? It didn't take you to play favorites. Shut up. Aizawa hid his face in his scarf to cover his blush. I don't have favorites. I just call it like I see it. He is the height of being a problem child, after all. Miss Joke burst out into laughter after that. Well, it looks like your problem child has the markings of a fine hero. Like I said, this is unusual behavior for him. He's usually more timid. I mean, it doesn't look like he's going to do any heavy lifting. He's staying put while everyone else is heading out. Maybe he's mission command? That's even weirder, Aizawa frowned. I've never known the problem child to not recklessly dive in head first. Plus, his quirk is super strength, so it's perfect for this kind of rescue work. Wait, looks like Ponytail Girl is mission control. Well, that makes sense. Yayorozu-san has a good head on her shoulders. High praise coming from you. Nothing of the sort. Like I said, I simply call it as I see it. Wait, did the problem child just enter the medical tent? Yep, guess he must be on first aid then. But we haven't covered any first aid yet. Surely that's something that the older students would handle. You haven't? Weird. Maybe he has training from outside school? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, he did ask permission to carry a basic first aid kit, but I'm sure I would know if he knew anything more advanced than applying bandages. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I wish that we could see what was happening inside. They're recording everything using the drones. I'll look back at the footage after this is all over. What are you doing in there, problem child? Mission Control, this is Deku. Can you hear me? Over. Izuku asked into his comms. Deku, this is Mission Control. I hear you loud and clear. Over. We're running out of clean bandages and disinfectant. Any way you can make us some? Over. Sure thing. I'll need you to come here, though, to grab them. Over. No problem. Thank you. Over and out. Izuku pulled his head away from his comm. Oh, wait, Hydros, I'm going to go grab some more supplies from Creati. Can you take over for me? Yeah, sure thing, Iwata shouted back. Come back quickly, though. We're being overrun. Roger that. Izuku gave a short nod and grin before exiting the medical tent for the first time since the exam started. Oh, look, your favorite student finally left the tent. I told you I don't have favorites, he grumbled. But Miss Joke was too busy cackling to listen to him. You're just too easy, Eraser. Hey, Creati, I'm here for the... But before Izuku could finish his sentence, an explosion shook the testing grounds. What? Yayorozu gasped before speaking rapidly into her comms. This is Mission Control. Does anybody have a visual on that explosion? Over. Izuku felt his stomach sink. He just had an awful thought. Hey, Creati, you know Marasan never did say that terrorists had left the scene in this scenario, he offered softly. Yayorozu's eyes widened. Mission Control to all teams. Be aware that there may be hostiles on the scene. Suddenly, Mara's voice crackled over the loudspeaker. A villain has completed another large-scale attack. The terrorists have appeared and are beginning to sweep the area. Hero candidates at the scene should continue their rescue efforts while also suppressing the newly arrived villains. Fuck, Yayorozu cursed, startling Izuku. Suddenly she stopped and pressed her comms. This is Mission Control. I hear you loud and clear. Over. Yayorozu paused before gasping loudly. What? Gang Orca? Izuku's eyes widened. Sakamata-senpai, he whispered under his breath. And then Izuku saw him, perched on top of a mountainous pile of rubble, teeth bared. Tell me, wannabe heroes, the whale-themed hero boomed loudly. Can you rescue people and fight at the same time? This concludes Chapter 11 of Deku Dio. I'll pick up with the next chapter as soon as possible. Hope you all are still enjoying this one, and as always, thank you so much for listening.